Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be talking about cultured vegetables today and the special bacteria that's in them that is doing a lot to help people to actually save the lives of infants. And it's really interesting, the information that I'm going to share with you. And I want you to forget everything you know about vegetables, because everybody knows vegetables are good for you. But let me talk to you about what happens when you culture vegetables. When you grow your own probiotics in a jar of vegetables, you will be shocked and amazed at all they can do. You know, I've been doing this a long time, 21 years, and I feel like I've been standing on top of a mountain talking about the praises of cultured vegetables and other cultured products. And, you know, some people listen, some don't. But I knew one day there would be a tipping point. And that day is almost here because I'm seeing them popping up everywhere in stores, health food stores, in the refrigerated sections of health food stores. And people are eating them more and more, which is very exciting to me. And, you know, these jars are filled, these vegetables are filled with billions of probiotics that are teeming with all kinds of extra vitamins and minerals that you need. Lots of vitamin C, B vitamins, and it continues to amaze me and really fill me with wonder about how these vegetables can do so many things to help us stay healthy and well. So, you know, every day, if you just have a tiny spoonful, and even if you only have it a couple times a week, it's going to make a difference in your life. And I have, you know, jars of cultured vegetables in my fridge at all times. So right now I have about probably 5 or 6 jars in there. There might be more, it depends, because I have so many refrigerators. But they will last for months on end. You know, they can last 9 months in your fridge easily. And they stay good, perfectly preserved. And that's because there's so many good bacteria in there that it keeps out pathogens and dominates the environment, you know, drops the pH, keeps it in a very safe, preserved environment for, you know, you to consume these for, you know, months on end. And the cool thing is when you eat them, it preserves you. And I've seen it help myself, my family, countless friends, people, a lot of people with stomach distress, food poisoning, viruses, stomach cramps, stomach rumbles. I have seen it help them over and over again. And I've used it for my whole family for years and years, and nothing works fast or as good as a jar full of cultured vegetables, or even just a spoonful. I mean, like a teaspoon can make a difference. And, you know, you don't have to believe me. It will make a believer out of you because it just works so powerfully. But you got to try it, and you got to make a jar, and you will see how powerful they are. Now, one of the things that is in cultured vegetables that it's lactobacillus plantarum, which is very, very strong. It's the most dominant organism, bacteria, good bacteria that's in cultured vegetable. And I want to tell you about this one study they did. There was a study done, and I'll link the description below. You can go to the article and see the reference. And they did a special study on this special bacteria. And the probiotics are very abundant in cultured vegetables. They're very strong, and and especially if you use a culture. We have a culture that we add to our vegetables to make them stronger and to make them have more probiotics and last longer with probiotics. Because as they age, the bacteria loses the food to eat, so they diminish in probiotics. But when our culture is made with the actual bacteria that the cultured vegetables make themselves, Lactobacillus plantarum, and it just makes it super, super strong. Now, the probiotic, this particular probiotic, has had an impact on saving thousands of infants from sepsis, which is a deadly, massive immune response to a bacterial infection that gets into the blood. 600,000 infants die annually from sepsis, primarily in developing countries, and research has been desperately trying to find a way to stop it for the last 20 years. Now, Dr. Pinka, who is a pediatrician at the University of Nebraska Medical Center, and it's a college of public health, led this study and was searching for answers. They screened 280 bacterial strains until one day they found the healthy strain, Lactobacillus Lactobacillus plantarum is isolated in the diaper of a healthy Indian baby. They started giving infants this Lactobacillus plantarum, the kind of lactic acid bacteria that is abundant in cultured vegetables. And it's also in our cutting edge culture starter culture for vegetables. That's the main ingredient. That's the main thing that's in it. And they gave them the baby that particular strain. And then they also added the prebiotic fructooleosaccharides, which is a very common, they call it FOS, common prebiotic that makes bacteria grow, because they wanted that bacteria to grow and sustain colonization. So they fed that particular strain, FOS or fructooleosaccharide, to make it stronger. And we actually have a product that has FOS in it called Prebio Plus. And we feed that to all our different cultures to make them grow and multiply, because it feeds bacteria and makes it grow. Now, you'll get it without it, but it makes it stronger. So after 1 week of giving the babies the cocktail of the pro and the prebiotics, the Lactobacillus plantarum and the FOS, the death and sepsis rate dropped 40%. And it went from 9 to 5.4%. And then it was really, really interesting because something else happened that they didn't expect. The probiotics that they gave them also began to help with other types of infection, especially those in the lungs. Respiratory infections dropped by 30%. And that was a big surprise because they didn't think gut bacteria was going to work in a distant organ like the lung. And the doctor who was doing the research said they actually stopped the trial prematurely since it was working so well. We were planning to enroll 8,000 babies, but stopped at just over 4,000 infants, he said, because a neonatologist, I'm not sure I said that right, at BC's Children's Hospital in Vancouver, British Columbia says, these beneficial bacteria can push out harmful bacteria in the baby's gut by changing the environment or simply using up resources. They also produce a compound that strengthens the walls of the intestines and acts as a barrier to prevent the bad bacteria from growing through the wall into the blood. And the probiotic bacteria can jumpstart a baby's immune system. So probiotics are so powerful, guys, because you're mostly bacteria. And they're even more powerful than drugs because they have the ability to do things that we don't even understand. And for this type of a thing to happen where it was, supposed to stop the sepsis in the blood, but also help the lungs, is a pretty impressive thing. And I have seen cultured vegetables do much more than that. But I had, in the very beginning, when I first started eating cultured vegetables, I had a friend, and she was using it to help her son with asthma, and she was giving him kefir as well. And he stopped using his inhaler. He was 7 at the time. And I remember thinking, this is the very early days of me making cultured vegetables and kefir and all the foods that we make. And I was so shocked by it that it's really one of the things that pushed me to learn more about it. And I get lots and lots of letters from people who have changed in dramatic ways. And I have one story that was from a woman who found herself in a terrible windstorm. And she had really bad asthma. And she couldn't get to her inhaler. And I think she was in her car, and she said she just happened to have a jar of cultured vegetables in a cooler in her car. So she opened the jar and she just drank the juice. And within minutes, she could breathe again because it is so powerful. I was so shocked and amazed that it worked like that. I've never underestimated the power of cultured vegetables. I've seen it work on food poisoning instantly, and I've seen that over and over and over again, not with just my family, but with hundreds of people who have written me letters about it. And this lady in particular became a believer in the food. I've seen it work. I've taken a swig when I've had a allergy flare from pollen. I can take a swig of the juice and instantly the huge amounts of vitamin C that are so much more bioavailable to you because it's fermented work instantly on that. And there's more to it than just vitamins and probiotics because there's something else going on with this powerful probiotic because it seems to boost the immune system. It also fights pathogens, like for instance, with the food poisoning or stomach distress. It just cleans it out and gives the body a powerful boost of vitamins But I have seen it work really well on asthma, on food poisoning, stomach distress of any kind. And L-plantarum is a very powerful probiotic. It can help the production of recreating adolescent by immune cells like regulatory T cells do. And it also helps with inflammation throughout the body to temper it, to keep it under control, reduce asthma, many inflammatory diseases I've seen it work on. And I have articles about that. I have a whole article on asthma and fermented foods because I've seen so many people find relief from asthma by taking cultured vegetables and kefir. So I have a whole article on that, and I'll link that in the description below. Now, there's something that you should know about this powerful probiotic that's in cultured vegetables. And it actually is in kefir a little bit too. It's just not as strong. There's small amounts of it in kefir. And there's so many other strains. There's 50 plus different strains of probiotics in kefir. So, bacteria likes to grow and multiply, and they all kind of keep each other in check a little bit. You don't get huge amounts of it, but you do get some. But you get the most in cultured vegetables because that's the predominant bacteria that cultured vegetables make naturally. Even if you don't add a culture, you still get lots of this powerful probiotic because the vegetables, acidifying bacteria that are in there when you're culturing vegetables will naturally make this when they're fermenting. It's just a natural byproduct of fermenting vegetables. Now, there's something you should know about it. These veggies are super powerful when you make them, but this particular bacteria is a transient bacteria, which means it doesn't last more than a few days in the body. So you're going to need to consume it at least a couple of times, 2 to 3 times a week, because it doesn't stay very long. Some of the bacteria we have stay forever. Some of the ones, especially the ones in kefir, but this one in particular does not. Lactobacillus plantarum does not stay very long in the body. So it kind of does its job and then it exits it. It binds with pathogens and then exits out the colon. So, that's not a problem to have it often because you guys don't need a lot. You need like a spoonful. And the jars will last 9 months in your fridge. So, you just need a spoonful 2-3 times a week. Some of you can have it every day if you want. But it's not going to last in your body long. So it's a good idea to have it a lot. Now, I have lots and lots of recipes that some are my favorite, but of course I say they're my favorite and then I change my mind the next week. But let me show you how easy it is. So basically when you're making cultured vegetables, you're taking vegetables, you're chopping like say for instance, pickles or cabbage or whatever you want to make. You chop them up and you put them in a jar, you cover them with water, you add a culture and salt. You don't have to add a culture, you can do it with salt, but you need to double the salt if you're not using culture so the pH will drop properly. You'll get much more of this bacteria if you use a culture. And you put it in a jar, you let it ferment for say 6 days and until they get sour and tart like kraut. You'll taste it. It'll start to get cloudy. That's normal. You'll see them rise up in the jar at about day 3. The vegetables start to rise and you can just push them down with water and put the lid back on. And then 6-7 days you have cultured vegetables. Usually it's about 6, depends on the temperature in your home. And I have all that on the instructions. And then you place them in your fridge and they'll last 9 months. I have a lot of kimchi recipes. Let me tell you about some of the recipes I have. I have a spicy kimchi. Koreans have been making that for centuries. It's really delicious. I have one that's not spicy. I have a cucumber kimchi one that you could use making cucumbers. I also have a Spanish kimchi that's absolutely delicious. I have an orangeade kraut, which is basically just sauerkraut with fresh oranges in it. That is one of my very favorites and one that people like the best. It has a half of an apple in it and oranges. We have spicy cultured beets that are made with honey. We have a sweet pickle relish. We have lots of pickle recipes. And all of these have the special Lactobacillus plantarum in which this is the bacteria we're talking about. I have Tuscan tomatoes, which are, I've been having them 2-3 times a week lately. They're made with cherry tomatoes and garlic and basil and, just ferment them for a day or 2 and you can make bruschetta. And it's so I think there's garlic in it too, but oh my gosh, it's so good. It's one of my husband's favorite recipes that he actually makes, which is one of the few ones he'll make himself because he likes it. I have salsas. I have a lot of salsa recipes that's just made in blenders, and you just let it ferment for a day and stick it in your fridge, and it's delicious. It's like a fresh salsa. I have a cultured peach pico salsa, which is really good this time of year in the summer. So good. I have Earl Grey tea pickles, which you use Earl Grey tea bags to make, because to make a pickle crunchy, you need to have some tannins in it, which is usually in leaves. They'll put oak leaves or raspberry tea leaves in there. But Earl Grey has tea leaves in it, so it gives it this really cool flavor, and it makes the pickles crunchy, because that's one of the things that helps to make the pickles crunchy and stay firm. I have a fermented cucumber tomato salad that's really good with fresh cucumbers and tomatoes that are fermented. I have a flu prevention cultured veggies that are spicy and a little sweet and sour. They're delicious. They have some special things like jicama and cabbage. And I think it's orange and apple. It's really good. That's a big favorite at my house. And then I have a recipe that I really love. It's called kefir kraut dip. And it's one of the things that I serve at my classes. And basically all it is kefir cheese. And if you don't have kefir cheese, you can use like yogurt that's strained, the whey strained out of it. And you mix a little bit of cultured vegetables into it. And guys, it is one of my most popular recipes and the one that people love the most because it is a fabulous dip. And we make that all the time. I have a key lime kraut that, oh gosh, it's so good. It's got all kinds of a freshness kraut, but with the hint of lime. And it has 14% of the vitamin C that you need in your day in just a very small amount. And let's see, do I have anything else? I put all of these on my in the link description below, and you can check it out and see. I've got even more recipes than this. So I put a bunch on there, and then you can go to the cultured vegetable page and see all the rest of them. And I've got all kinds of them to choose from that you can make this powerful probiotic that you can get in your daily life. And you can, use it as a side dish. You could just use the juice. You can just have a spoonful, every couple of days. And it is powerful food that works like medicine in the body. It helps to keep you regular. It helps to kill candida. It helps to do so many wonderful things. It helps with cravings. It helps you to crave healthy food. It's just fabulous. I just absolutely love it. It's something we have all the time, and it's always in my fridge. I just made a new jar the other day that was made with beets and kraut. It was really good. It kind of tasted, it was golden beets. I love that. They have a different flavor than regular beets. So those are in there. But anyway, these are a few of the recipes I have. Check out the link description below or go to my website at culturedfoodlife.com and go to the recipe section and then just click on the heading of cultured vegetables and you'll see all my cultured vegetables recipes, and I have a lot. So, and you can pick the thing that most interests you. That's usually the best way to do something. Find something that interests you and make it, because usually that's calling you for a reason. So anyway, I thought that I would even include some of the dips and things that I make on there too. So it's not just cultured vegetables. There's things you can do with the cultured vegetables, and I have that included in the recipes below too. Thanks guys for listening. Check out the recipes, or even just go to the health food store, go to the refrigerator section and find some cultured vegetables. They'll say live cultures on the back of the bag or jar, and they're so good for you. And just start slowly implementing them into your life and see what a difference they can make. As always, guys, thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Appreciate you taking time of your day to listen. And I hope that I can help you, steer you to health by introducing more probiotic foods into your diet and into your life. They help keep me healthy and well. So thanks, guys, for listening, and we'll see you next time.